wanted to make a Kraft paper dispenser to sit under the IKEA cabinet that my work table is made from. And I had some ideas that I sketched out in my notebook. Something simple, gravity fed, no really fancy hardware, something simple that I could make in my shop. And I started with what I had around, including some scrap plywood.
I have I've got this roll of paper. It's a 1-inch diameter here from Amazon. I've got just some Schedule 40 tube, 3/4 of an inch, and I got a bar, a steel bar, a big box store, which I'm going to use for the cutting of it. And some angle iron, which I will weld onto here.
So the first thing I did was just give the steel bar a straight edge. I didn't really make a blade out of it. I just kind of sharpened the angle at the edge of it to make it cutting paper. Second thing I did was I needed to round the edges of the steel bar angle iron. That's the pivot, because they're very sharp and that's one thing that moves. So I made some rounded corners. And then I tested the general dimensions of the pipe to make sure it's going to fit inside the cabinet. The next step was to make the plywood holders on the side. I took two pieces the same, and with some double tape I pressed them together so that when I was drilling the holes they would be perfectly aligned. And I'm using a Forster bit to make the larger holes that will hold the 3/4 inch pipe. So I'm separating them after I drilled, and I'm going to then mock it up to make sure that the roll is fitting into that space. And now I'm going to try and decide the exact shape of the cut. So I made a second hole, and I had an idea that I would connect these two holes with a cut that would make a little, I guess a little groove so the thing would sit in. It needed to kind of fall in by gravity, but when I pulled it, I didn't want it to pop out. Also, I needed enough clearance at the top so that the bar could be raised up so I could get the roll out without having to take it apart. So here I am, I'm cutting this little slot and testing it now, and it seems to work pretty well. That's what I was looking for. So now I'm going to trim the pipe to this correct length, because you only get to cut this once. And I'm using a PVC pipe cutter, which is by far the best way to cut pipe if you don't know about it. It's much better than a saw. It just actually, like a scissors, slices it. And there'll be a link in the Amazon notes about where you can get one. I'm welding the steel bar. My welding is so pitiful that I'm embarrassed to show what it actually looks like, but I cleaned it up afterwards and then gave it a coat of black paint. And here's the finished device. It's looking pretty good. I'm very happy with it. I made the inside flush so that it can go right against the wall of the inside of the cabinets, and I had to use some spacers to give enough of a room for the thing to move up and down so it wasn't rubbing against the sides. And here is the plywood holder. So I'm installing the steel cutting bar inside the box and against the plywood holder. So now is the big moment. I'm opening up the roll of Kraft paper, which I like to use in very long sheets to cover my work surface. It can be thrown away after a project, and there's nothing like starting with a brand new sheet of clean Kraft paper on top. And I'm now going to, for the very, very first time, use my cutter. And I have to tell you, it is incredibly satisfying.